It's that time of the year. The knockouts are about to start. The league phase is absolutely done. And it's time to give our predictions for the first, little playoff round that is going to be happening in the Champions League. Let's go ahead and start with the games that are going to be happening this Tuesday. The first game I want to get into, which I think is going to be one of the most entertaining ones in this phase, is the Borussia Dortmund versus Atalanta. This game, as I said, is going to be an incredibly interesting game. But this is just gonna be the first leg predictions for these round of matches, and I think Atalanta is going to win. It's true, Borussia Dortmund is gonna be playing at home the first game, but I mean they've been incredibly inconsistent, and I think the best result that they can get is a draw. I think Borussia Dortmund is incredibly unorganized, and I don't think they're gonna be able to stop this Atalanta team who has looked a lot more organized. Just yesterday they played against, I believe it was Lazio, and although it looked like it was a scrappy game and it actually didn't look as organized as I thought it would look, it seemed like they were trying new things, and overall they were able to get a result, which is something that we haven't seen Borussia Dortmund do, at least in the Champions League. And Atalanta in the Champions League, they actually didn't do bad. They just lost their last couple games, and that kind of pushed them back into this position of having to play the playoff. But they had some pretty easy games that they completely fumbled. Maybe that's a sign of their inconsistency and some of the issues that they have. But Borussia Dortmund overall, the way they've been playing is just completely, they're worse organized than Atalanta were against Lazio. So yeah, this first round I have a either 2-2 or a 1-2 to Atalanta. And I'm going to stick with a 2-1 for Atalanta. I think they have what it takes to beat Borussia Dortmund at home. Now moving on to a fodder game, PSG versus Monaco. I could be completely wrong, right? Because Monaco has been a team that beat PSG in the league, although it was early on with a lot of injuries. But regardless, they were able to beat them early on in the league all. But I think we're going to see similar to what we saw against Brest. Of course, they're not going to score 10 goals on them like they scored on Brest. I think it's going to be a bit of a closer match. Maybe a potential, I see this first home, they're going to be home, Monaco. I see PSG, there's a lot of turmoil. Of course, over the weekend, they lost 3-1 to, I believe it was Rennes. And Dembele came out with a couple words that this was not the attitude, and then Luis Enrique clapped back. So there seems to be a bit of turmoil. I don't think that's going to be enough to completely throw them off from not beating Monaco and going on to the next stage of the Champions League. But for this first round, I'll say it will be I don't see PSG scoring a bunch of goals on these guys, right? But I'd say it's going to be a 2-1. I think it's going to be a 2-1. PSG defensively has looked quite weak with with Chevalier or whatever goalkeeper they are rotating, because they still don't have a set goalkeeper, in contrary to last season. And the new center back, what's his name? He came from Dortmund. From Borussia Dortmund. No, from Bournemouth. My bad, guys. And he's also looked very inconsistent at defense. So yeah, I think for this first round, I'd say a 2-1 victory for PSG will be fine. Now moving on to another interesting game, Galatasaray is going to be receiving Juventus at home. Now, Juventus is a team that I've really liked watching the way that they've been able to play. They just lost against Inter yesterday, even though it was a complete robbery what we saw yesterday. But it did at the end expose a lot of things that Juventus is struggling with, which is aerial balls. And Galatasaray loves aerial balls. Now Galatasaray is going to be missing a couple of their players. I believe Sane is not going to be able to be there, but they have no Lang, so they could do something. I don't see Juventus getting a win in Galatasaray in Turkey. Yildiz is going to, of course, do the whole storyline, the star of Turkey, and end up beating Galatasaray in Turkey. But I think it's going to be a draw. I don't see Galatasaray winning either. I'd say, because Juventus do score quite a bit of goals, so I would say either 2-2 or 1-1. I'll go with a 1-1 for this game, just to, I don't think they're gonna be completely all out attack type thing. Now moving on into the final game for Tuesday, Real Madrid versus Benfica. Now listen, there's been Benfica dunked, Turbin dunked on the entire Real Madrid team last time. Honestly, Benfica's here by a miracle. That's the reason that they're here. Madrid's gonna get their rematch. We just beat Real Sociedad 4-1. Vinny looked incredible. Trent is back. I still am not convinced about this team. And we're gonna be playing Benfica. The first game is gonna be, this leg is gonna be away. As I said, I'm still not convinced about Real Madrid. I saw a lot of issues still. Vinicius Jr. played incredible, but there's still that lack of decision making, that poor decision making that Vinicius Jr. has tended to do in the past year. Hopefully this game gave him the confidence to do less mistakes, to make better decisions on the ball. And yeah, overall, I see this game going, I think we can beat Benfica at home. It's gonna be tough, but with Trent Alexander-Arnold, the way that Valverde was able to play against Real Sociedad, I think there's a good chance that we beat them when we are away. So I would say I don't see us keeping a clean sheet. Quite generally, I really don't. So I would say a 3-1 or a 2-1. Maybe those are too high, but as I said, Mbappe has looked incredible this whole season. Vinny, if he's able to come back, and of course we have Trent now. So yeah, you know what? I'll stick with a 3-1 victory for Real Madrid in this first leg. Now moving on to the Wednesday game. Let's go ahead and start with Olympiacos versus Leverkusen. Now this is gonna be a very tough game. I mean, they literally just played each other. I believe it was three, 4 weeks ago. Leverkusen against Olympiacos. Olympiacos actually won that game 2-0. So and Leverkusen hasn't looked incredible, played insanely well. And Olympiacos, on the other hand, the last couple games, I mean, they beat Ajax, they beat Leverkusen, they had really tough ties against Real Madrid, Arsenal, and I'm missing one of the big teams. I think it might have been Barcelona. I'm sorry, that's a small team. And they were able to keep Arsenal at a 2-0 victory. Barcelona absolutely trashed them, but we'll ignore that. And Real Madrid, of course, it was a 4-3. It was a really narrow result. Leverkusen, of course, they were able to beat them. Now, Leverkusen do not seem to be missing many other starting 11, but they kind of played a rotation type team against Olympiacos in the last time they played. The question is, who will win this match? I think the first leg, Olympiacos has looked really good offensively. Defensively, their keeper has been great on saving them. They saved them a lot against Leverkusen. So I'd say it's a 2-2 score. I think they both have goals in them, and it's gonna be down to I don't see Leverkusen beating them away. I really don't. But I mean, I also don't see them not being able to score. So yeah, I think a 2-2 is a fair result. Olympiacos is gonna give them a fair fight in this first leg, and we'll see what happens in that second leg. I'm sorry. Up next, we got Bodo Glimt against Inter Milan. Bodo Glimt gonna be starting the game at home, a place that has been proven to be very difficult to many other teams. Notably, City lost against Bodo Glimt away from home. But that City team had kind of their second B team. They were missing a lot of defenders. Inter, on the other hand, they are looking frightening when it comes to the attack. But of course, you can't ignore the conditions that they're going to be playing in. As I said, Inter just beat Juventus, but they didn't look convincing at all. But at the end of the day, no disrespect to Bodo Glimt, they beat Atletico Madrid away, and they were able to beat this Manchester City. But I don't see Bodo Glimt being able to get a result against Inter Milan. I think this first leg, if they're lucky, they'll get a draw. If not, I reckon it could be a 2-1 victory for Inter Milan, because they do seem to concede a bit of goals when it comes to being Inter Milan in general, right? And the conditions, of course, you can't ignore those, as I said. So yeah, I got Inter winning 2-1 against Bodo Glimt away. Up next, we got Karabakh versus Newcastle. Karabakh has been an incredible story to watch, similar to Bodo Glimt. They were able to make it into the knockout rounds of the Champions League, but now they're facing a Newcastle who, although don't look very strong when it comes to the league. They've looked quite positive when it comes to Champions League. I don't see this going Karabak's way, honestly, in no way, sense of or form. I'll make it short for them. I think Newcastle's gonna be able to beat them 3-1. I think they have the squad, they have the intensity, and I don't think Karabakh is able to match that. So a 3-1, I think it's fair. A little breakaway, get themselves a goal. But yeah, 3-1, maybe 3-0 in this first leg. Finally, the last game of this playoff round first leg is going to be Club Brugge versus Atletico Madrid. This game, Club Brugge in general has given some incredible games, most notably against Atalanta last year, where there was quite literally going to be a brawl. And I don't know, it was the captain of Atalanta who just completely fumbled everything, and he looked like an absolute fool out in the pitch. But now they're going to be facing an Atletico Madrid who, although they're very inconsistent, when they're on their game, they're on their game. As we saw against Barcelona, Atletico Madrid absolutely put 4 past them. And now a key player to these victories have been Adeyemi Lookman. They put, 5 goals past Real Betis, I believe, and Adeyemi Lookman was once again involved. And Club Brugge, yes, they have a good squad, but look, if the bad Atletico Madrid shows up, I don't see it crazy that Club Brugge beat them, right? Get a 1-0 or get even a 2-0, right? But if the Atletico Madrid that has been showing up, most notably in the cup competitions, as I said, Betis and Barcelona, incredibly effective, offensive, prolific team, Club Brugge is gonna get a battering, right? But honestly, I think if we're gonna see an Atletico Madrid, it's gonna be between those two, and it's gonna be a good game. I think Club Brugge is not a bad team at all, so I would say Club Brugge is able to get a 1-1 draw against Atletico Madrid for this first leg, and they're able to go to the Wanda Metropolitano, or however they change the name to. I think it's still the Wanda Metropolitano. They're going to be able to go over there and get the luck of the draw, see if they were able to beat this Atletico Madrid. So that's my predictions for the first leg of the Champions League knockout stages. Let me know if y'all have any different things, if y'all disagree with anything, if y'all think Borussia Dortmund is going to be able to make that legendary run that they usually always do and completely beat and batter Atalanta, or if Atletico Madrid is able to pull some crazy stuff and make it into the final. Whatever y'all choose, let it down in the comments. Now, if y'all want my opinions way more in depth and other people's opinions, Mikhail, Brian, we just launched a podcast. I'll leave it in the description below. The Beyond Full-Time podcast. It was an hour and 40 something long podcast, but we went in depth in every single one of the teams. We went on the predictions on who will win the games and who will make it into the final. Is there any surprises that are going to be there? I don't know, you're gonna have to find out. But yeah guys, that's gonna be it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on the next one.